These runaway slaves hiding in the White House. I feel bad for them coons in the White House.
This is a garbage church with a garbage pastor. Jamal Bryant as a person and New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, the members there, as people, they have value, they have worth, their souls matter. But as a congregation that is supposed to be for the Lord, garbage. As a pastor, not the person, but as a pastor, garbage. Not fulfilling even the most basic role of a church and a pastor. What kind of church, a black church, what kind of church would you say it is if there is no Jesus there? And when I say Jesus not being there, I'm going to give you proof. I'm going to show you. Can you imagine going to a service and Jesus is not at the forefront, and the preaching, the sermon has nothing to do with Jesus? You don't even mention his name. Yeah, we're going to see that in just a little bit. But what he's done lately, and this kind of goes with all of what he's done, he is a person that stands against, as they say, 10 toes down, against the message of the gospel. He'll use the gospel. He'll use the Bible. He'll use the words that are in there for his own benefit. He'll twist it, but he leads no one closer to Christ. But instead, he seems to be more concerned about this particular world. Now, before we go there, before we show the clips, I want to make sure that we understand what the Bible says. In Hebrews 13:14, look what he says. For here we do not have a lasting city, but we are seeking the city which is to come. Through him then let us continually offer up sacrifice of praise to God, that is the fruit of his lips, that give thanks to his name, and do not neglect doing good and sharing, for with such sacrifice God is pleased. Again, this is not our home. We don't belong here. We are just sojourners passing through. As 1 Peter 2 says, that we are aliens. We are strangers in this land. It's not our home. We don't need to set up shop and make sure that our roots are here, that we leave an inheritance for this planet. No, we've got another place to go to. Now, we live a certain way while we're here to show and to be a light, to point people to the true light, to Christ. But listen to what his focus is. His focus is, one, all about him and all about culture, all about blackness. He is more black than biblical. He is about color than he is for Christ.
You got to understand that the shadow is not real. The presence of an actual knife is danger, but the shadow of the knife is just fear. Y'all been praying for me all week. You've been nervous all week, but I ain't afraid of the spooks that sat at the door.
Now, what he's talking about is there were some people, some blacks that went to the White House, and some of those had some, I think one or two people maybe had pictures of Jamal Bryant kind of holding them up. And some folks got bothered by that. Now, I'm not bothered by it, although I think it was not a good move. I don't think, why would you do that? Why is he even on your mind when you go there? And so I'm not applauding those folks that went there to the White House and were kind of making fun, kind of clowning, trying to clown him. No, he can clown himself just fine in his pulpit and bring a disservice and bring reproach by the Lord upon himself. You don't have to do that. You can just let that go, because all it does is it's more fodder. It puts it more at the forefront. And so that anyone that doesn't like Trump is going to naturally turn to the people that do like Trump and see who they're holding up and then gravitate towards him. We don't want to give people any reason to look at this man who is, if they follow him, if you follow Jamal Bryant, you will find yourself in hell.
These runaway slaves hiding in the White House gonna throw my picture up thinking that I'm gonna be afraid.
Now, they're runaway slaves. Why do they have to be runaway slaves? If they're runaway slaves, what are they running from? Possibly they're running from all of these bad policies that have never helped the black community, but instead they're looking for something different. Now, I don't think that Donald Trump or any other party is the issue, but if you're going to think politically, why would you want to keep doing the same old thing, going around the same people, voting for the same folks, having these people run your state, run your city, run your county, run your schools, run your police department, run everything that has anything to do with the public good, run those, and then complain about the party that's not in charge, complain about them. You've done this for 50, 60, 70 years and have got nothing. Don't run the people, human beings, that tell you, that promise you they'll do something for you. They never will, especially when they've got a track record of never doing anything for you. If you're looking for some help socially, politically, you won't find it in any of these people. Stop going to people and asking them for help. Stop making people think that you are a some sort of charity case, that you're a pet project, that you are someone they can give something to, placate, throw some words, maybe send you a few dollars with the promise of more dollars that never come, and then you turn around and vote for them over and over and over again. Stop letting folks tell you who the real racists are. Stop letting folks tell you that this person's against you when this other group that's telling you that had never been for you. Stop listening to these people. This is just my message to black folks and anyone in general. Our savior is not in the White House right now. He's not Trump. He's not Biden. Definitely not Harris, nor any other man. His name is Jesus. He died for us. Now, if you want to be active politically, I don't have a problem with that. But be so smart. And so, if you're saying that these are runaway slaves, what are they running away from? These are folks that are probably doing better off than most of the folks that Jamal is speaking about or speaking to. Think about other races, other ethnicities. Think about Asian folks. When was the last time you saw Chinese folks out marching in the streets? When was the last time you saw Indian folks, folks from India or the Middle East? When have you seen them out marching in the streets? You know what they do? They take care of their business and they don't ask anyone for anything. And they, more than whites, more than blacks, more than Hispanics, outperform in every socioeconomic metric than anyone else. Stop asking another man to help you out. That's just my little rant. But back to Jamal.
If you got real courage, don't show my picture. Show the picture of the one that fired the black Joint Chief of Staff from the military.
The one that fired him was also the one that hired him. So if he fired him for being black, then that must mean he must have hired him for being black. No, he fired him for some other reason, for his promotion of a particular agenda that was not congruent with what they're looking for.
If you're going to show a picture of the CEO of Target, Walmart, McDonald's, and Amazon that does not recognize black dollars or black...
They don't recognize black dollars. How silly is that? You got folks that are sitting there clapping and cheering. Meanwhile, you know somebody that works at Walmart or work at McDonald's. You might know a manager. You might know some sort of supervisor there who has made a good living. Walmart, McDonald's, Target, those companies, they're not opposed to hiring black folks. They're opposed to, by the way, if you're going to keep pushing this whole silly narrative of DEI, understand that DEI, black folks make up 3% of whatever DEI has helped. We're not number one. And so while you're pushing that, keep pushing it because it benefits someone else. And I don't know why you want to push it anyway. It hasn't helped, nor will it ever help.
Black business. If you're going to put up a picture of the state legislators in Florida that are banning black books. If you're going to put up the picture of the one who is stealing classified information from the IRS and Social Security.
There's always somebody you can put a picture up, no matter what party. By the way, the person he's referring to actually happens to be someone who is under the previous administration. But if there's always somebody in every party who has done something wrong, diabolical, what have you, underhanded, I don't care who it is, black, white, Hispanic, Republican, or Democrat, but he's going to say something I think he probably would wish he would take back.
If you're going to put up a picture of those that don't want your mama to pay $35 for insulin and your child to pay $35 for inhaler. If you're going to put up a picture of those that are jailing children and separating families.
Put up a picture of those that are separating families. Well, that would mean we would have to put up a picture of you, Jamal, since you voluntarily have separated yourself from your own families. You know, the 6 children that you have by the 4 different women, maybe 5, I'm not sure the count right now. So that would mean we would have to put your face up then, right? You are not the person that should be making this fight. You have never been the person. Think about this. Ask yourself this question. What social benefit has anyone ever gotten from listening to Jamal Bryant? What has he benefited? What problem has he fixed? What cause has he been that has been not a failure but a success? What has changed? What policy has changed under Jamal Bryant's leadership? How about none? None whatsoever. What he ought to be doing is what he's not doing in the place that he should be doing it at. Being a pastor, preaching the gospel to his congregation. You're going to see what I mean by this when I say ungodly, a garbage excuse for a pastor. I know it's harsh words, but that's what it is. What he's saying, where he's saying, they shouldn't be done. I don't care who you are, white, black, Hispanic, Republican, Democrat. Political commentary in the pulpit, I think, doesn't really need to be there unless it's something having to do with or that's been encroached upon by the Bible. For example, marriage. Yeah, it's not a political issue. That is a spiritual issue. That's a biblical issue. What happens to children and their sexuality. That's not a political issue. That's a spiritual, biblical issue. Abortion. That clearly is a biblical issue. It's not a political issue, though politics have encroached on that. And so those are things that we should all stand up and say we have an issue with that. But in terms of certain political practices, things relating to the border, things relating to tax policies, things relating to hiring practices, things like that, those are not biblical points. There might be some good points, some worthwhile issues, but not something worth standing on a Sunday when folks are coming to hear the gospel to negate the gospel, but instead give them this. And when I say negate, when I say the absence of Jesus in this black church, I'm going to show you proof in just a second.
I ain't ever scared. In case you forgot, I'm from the west side of Baltimore. If you got a problem, pull up on me.
You're from Baltimore, the west side of Baltimore. Didn't you leave Baltimore after impregnating some teenager? You and your West Baltimore bona fides are nothing for you to highlight.
We ain't running no more. Yea, though I walk. And after being on the run for 26 years from Saul and Philistines, David said, my running days are over.
Couple of things, just to be clear. You're not David. By the way, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? I don't know what this is you're wearing. And again, like a lot of black churches that are focused on being black more than they are about being about the Bible. They care more about their color. They care more about culture than they do the things of Christ. If they did, they would be preaching that. Tell me, what's the most gospel-centered sermon you've ever heard from Jamal Bryant or that came out of that church? Give me one. You won't. It's always going to be centered around something social or political, having to do with abortion, marriage, the election, bringing Kamala Harris in, bringing in Stacey Abrams, bringing in these folks because you're all about being black. This person is absolutely ridiculous. And we're going to see that he's also a hypocrite.
We don't have to run anymore. You only run when you're scared. But you walk when you got confidence that greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Would you look at your neighbor and tell him, I ain't running nowhere. Be like a tree. Be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding, knowing that your labor is not in vain. I'm not going to run when nobody is chasing me, but I'm going to walk like a smooth operator. I got to walk because I understand that no weapon formed against me shall be able to prosper. All these other churches might not say nothing, but at 6400 Woodrow, we right outside of Decatur where it's greater. You got to understand that there is more for us than there are against us. Look at your neighbor and say, as long as we stick together, we ain't got to run. Hey.
As long as we stick together. Again, what's missing from this? And even though this is about a 2 or 3 minute clip, what's missing from it? Well, what about the rest of the sermon? Guess what you won't find? You won't find what's still missing in this clip. It's like you can play the whole thing. You still won't find it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you what's missing, and it's intentional.
Harriet Tubman said, whenever I tried to make our people be free, there were a few Negroes that tried to go backwards and tried to risk our freedom. I feel bad for them coons in the White House.
You feel bad for them coons in the White House. Did you feel bad, though, when you were licking the boots of Donald Trump when you wanted to cash his check?
On the ultimate merger.
Omarosa.
Mr. Trump, you coming hard at me now?
If Mike does not go home tonight, I'm going home.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's you in your little hot pink shiny suit. You'll put on whatever costume that you know is going to give you the most amount of attention, that's going to help you sell whatever it is you're trying to sell or you're trying to buy. Yeah, so Trump was okay then, and he was paying you. He was okay. But the moment he decided to run as a Republican, you had a problem with that, then all of a sudden all bets are off, because that goes against your whole narrative. So therefore, let's just look at you and see if what you just said is biblical or hypocritical.
Who are in there tap dancing for massa, wearing bow ties, shinning and grinding, laughing like nothing is funny. Get out of there, Negro, and stand with your people so that you understand that God is on our side.
God is on our side. Yet and still, though, that was you in that nice, hot pink, shiny suit. Is God on your side? Let me just show you guys something. Let's go over here to that particular service. And if you go to the service, as a matter of fact, let me put me on screen, because I want you guys to see something. Where am I at? All right, let me make me a little smaller so you guys can see something. It's not important that what you see on stage, but that's him with all the folks there in their I guess African garb. What I have to the right though is the transcript. And what I did though was I want to look at the words every time the word Jesus was used in this sermon, in this entire time. Now you're going to find Jesus being used in the comments, but let's just keep moving. Let's just see. So when it takes it back up, so at the 44:28 mark, the name Jesus was used. Let's click on that and see what was happening. This right here, he uses the name Jesus to invoke for offering, for tithes and offerings. That's the only time that he uses the word Jesus. Now they're going to sing some songs, and let's click on it some more. Let's click on there. And then so the next time we see it, again, notice it says music. Click on this. The choir is playing here. Let's click on it again so you all can see this. This is the choir up singing. That's the choir, ladies and gentlemen, that you see. Click on it some more. Let's go down a few further. And by the way, you can do the exact same thing on your own computer. Go and just type in under the transcript, just type in Jesus. Let's go down to where he comes in, if he comes in. Now, by the way, at the 58-minute mark, the choir is still singing. Okay, let's continue some more. Let's go. I'm sorry, that was the furthest we go. Let's go back to the last time, the 57-minute mark. The choir singing. They mentioned Jesus, 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 Jesus. I hear you. That's it. Isn't that wrong? Isn't there a problem with that? If you are going to be a preacher of the gospel and Jesus never comes out of your mouth as you're preaching, that's why I say his church, his service, not necessarily people individually, but him as a pastor, that gathering as a church, garbage, ungodly. More about being about black than they are about being about the Bible. Nothing. Think about it. How do you have a church and no Jesus in it? No Christ. Go do the same search. What about saved or salvation? No, none of that. You get together with an opportunity to talk about the one you love, and you don't talk about the one you love. I'm sorry. They did get together and talk about the one they love. They talked about their color. They talked about their politics, their skin. That is absolutely what they love, what they talked about. Now, this same person, listen to his doctrinal stances, what he talks about. He talks about goofy things, about, you do know, I wonder if anyone ever thought about the trees when they were cut down on Palm Sunday, how they might have felt. Just ignorant things. Or when Jesus turned water into wine, that was his way of letting people let their hair down so they could party. Jesus wanted to party. A repulsive person, but don't believe me, listen to his doctrine.
New Birth is the largest land-owning black church in America. Wow. And so my position to my deacons is, why aren't we not raising cannabis? That New Birth and me are pro-choice, because Jesus is.
Right.
He said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If you decide to let me in, that's pro-choice. Huh. God in the Garden of Eden said to Adam and Eve, all of these trees are available to you. I want you to pick those. I'm not putting this other tree behind barbed wire and the ADT alarm. Don't eat it, but that's your choice.
Yes.
Christianity in and to itself is pro-choice.
He is a moron. He is a biblical moron. He is a self-service. And I don't mean moron that he's not smart. He knows what he's doing. Oh, he's intelligent. What he does intentionally. Not a pastor whatsoever. Some folks are going to fall for the smoke and mirrors to think, well, wait a second, this is about Donald Trump and we're not for Donald Trump. No, it's not about Donald Trump at all. It's not about, because I promise you, if Donald Trump was someone else in the office, someone who was not a Democrat, it'd be about them. You guys are going to get caught up. And again, I don't think that we should be promoting anyone, Trump or the Democratic Party or anyone like that, in the pulpit. The pulpit is for a particular reason. This is for the worship, the uplifting, the gathering of God's church. And so you've got someone who is, I would say, I guess you could say he's preaching another gospel. It is a social conscious gospel. For if one comes and preaches another Jesus, of course, he didn't really preach Jesus, whom we have not preached, or you receive a different spirit, which they did, which you have not received, or a different gospel, a different good news, which you have not accepted, you bear this beautifully. For I consider myself not in the least inferior to the most eminent apostle. Now listen, if you find yourself preaching another gospel, what does he say? You, my friend, are accursed. That is his point, and we see this happening here. Do not fall for the trap. Yeah, you may not like the fact that some folks have an issue with, or maybe you support DEI. Fine. Support DEI in some place other than the pulpit. Can Christians be for this or against that? They can now. Should Christians be for or against abortion? No, you should not be against abortion. I mean, for abortion. You should not be, because the Bible has spoken about this. As a matter of fact, even an accidental abortion where two men are fighting and they hit a woman accidentally and the baby dies, well, then the person who is even accidentally, they are guilty and should lose their life according to the text. What about men marrying men and women marrying women? Is that okay? It's their own business. No, it's God's business, and he's spoken about it. And so we don't have a reason to come back and nullify that. What about anything having to do with this whole trans issue, boys becoming girls and girls becoming boys and things like that? The Bible has spoken about that. It has. And so he, though, takes a different stance. He goes against those things. So you want to follow him to hell if you want to. As long as you know that you've been warned. He's been warned. And I pray one day the opportunity, what does it say, pull up? I would love to. Now, I don't think he's going to make himself available, but I would love to. I would absolutely love to pull up to him and let him know all the things that he's done that endangers not just the black community, but people in general. Himself. I know he loves himself. Jamal Bryant, you're putting yourself in danger. You're putting your wife in danger. You're putting all those kids, however many there are, you're putting them in danger. Anyone that listens to you, you're putting them in danger. You are helping to contribute to the delusional state of mind that this is all about our color and that we are all here on this planet looking for equal rights. No, sorry. Because if you felt that much about it, you would go to places where there is slavery. You would go to Haiti and try to stamp out any sort of slavery that there is in Haiti. You would go to Africa and try to stamp out slavery in Africa, Mr. Pro-Black person. You would do that since you're wearing African garb, or your people are, but you don't care about that. You care about something that's politically expedient that can bring you money, bring you recognition, fame, lift your star. That's what you're about. So let's be clear. Following this person, you're following a person who, as a pastor, is just garbage. Not as a person. I'm not saying he's garbage as a person, even though I think that we all, myself included, are dirt, redeemed dirt, but dirt. I don't think he's redeemed dirt. So if he's dirt, he's just regular dirt. Or his church, who was buying this hook, line, and sinker. They're not innocent in this. They can easily go and find another church or listen to something else, or just protest him for not giving the gospel. Wouldn't that be an interesting thing? Rather than protesting Target for not hiring or for their anti-DEI practices, what have you. What if we just boycotted, how about this, boycotting New Birth for their anti-deity practice, for their anti-savior practice, for their anti-gospel practice? Wouldn't that be interesting? Maybe we got to do that. Put together a boycott of, not that anyone who loves the Bible would even go there. They're already boycotting that church, but let folks know that what he's doing is ungodly. And again, the folks that go there, you do not have an excuse. You can come and defend him if you want to, but you won't find scriptures to defend him. So again, once again, this man reminds us of how unqualified, how ungodly that this man absolutely is. Amen.